Peppa Pig, My Mummy. My name is Peppa, and this book is all about my mummy. She is the best mummy in the whole wide world, and the prettiest.
Wow!
My mummy is very graceful, like a ballerina. Except when it comes to picking blackberries. My mummy can be very serious. But sometimes she can be silly too. My mummy works very hard at home. And when she's outside, my mummy is very smart.
Wow!
She knows how to read maps and then make paper aeroplanes out of them. My mummy lets me and George pretend to be grown-ups. But she's always there to hug us if we are frightened. My mummy can do anything she puts her mind to. Especially if someone tells her she can't do it.
Oh no!
The very best thing about my mummy is how she always has time to jump in muddy puddles with us.
Peppa Pig and the Treasure Hunt. Peppa Pig and her little brother George are very excited. They are going to spend the day with Granny Pig and Grandpa Pig.
Hooray!
Off we go, says Daddy Pig.
Hello, Peppa. Hello, George,
says Granny Pig.
Ahoy there, me hearties,
says Grandpa.
We have a surprise for you.
Granny and Grandpa Pig say.
Wow!
Peppa and George love surprises.
It's a treasure hunt,
says Granny Pig.
Grandpa buried treasure somewhere in the yard. It's up to you two to find it. Treasure!
George wants to find it. Peppa wants to find it too. Peppa has never searched for treasure before.
How do we find it?
She asks.
Follow the map,
says Granny.
Hooray!
Says Peppa. Grandpa Pig gives George the pirate hat.
Arr!
Says George. Something isn't quite right,
I don't understand the map,
says Peppa.
Can you help, Daddy?
Oh, yes, says Daddy Pig. I'm very good with maps. This map is difficult.
You're holding it upside down,
says Granny Pig. Whoops, says Daddy Pig. Everyone laughs.
I see,
says Peppa.
it's easy. X marks the spot where the treasure is buried. It's right between two apple trees, but where are they? You have to find the clues, says Granny Pig. The first one is in a bottle.
Peppa and George search. They find a scarecrow. They find butterflies. They find frogs. George finds something else.
That's not treasure,
says Peppa.
I see it,
cries Peppa. She and George rush down into the yard.
It's a message in a bottle.
Peppa hands a message to Mummy Pig to read.
Wow!
This pirate has very bad handwriting, says Mummy Pig. I can't make it out at all.
Oh no!
Nonsense, says Grandpa Pig. It says to find the arrows and follow them. Peppa and George follow the arrows to the treehouse, past the chicken coop, and behind the beehive. They follow them up, down, and all around the yard. At the last arrow, Peppa sees something bright and shiny on the ground.
A key! I wonder what it will unlock,
says Peppa. Peppa looks up. She points.
An apple tree,
she says. George points and Peppa says,
another apple tree.
Daddy gets a shovel. He digs and digs and digs. Finally, the shovel hits something hard.
What is it?
asks Peppa. Daddy reaches down into the hole.
A treasure chest,
cries Peppa.
Ooh,
says George. Peppa uses a key to unlock the chest. It is filled with shiny coins.
Gold coins,
says Peppa.
We're rich.
Ooh, says George.
These are better than gold coins, says Grandpa Pig. These coins are made of chocolate.
Ooh, say Peppa and George. Says Peppa.
This is the best treasure ever.
The end. Peppa Pig, George's new dinosaur. George's favourite toy is Mr. Dinosaur. George likes bouncing Mr. Dinosaur in the garden, playing with him at bath time, and he loves going to sleep with Mr. Dinosaur beside him. At bedtime, Peppa says,
George, I think Mr. Dinosaur is broken.
George is very upset. Mummy and Daddy Pig come in to see why George is crying. Cries George. Poor George, says Daddy Pig. Maybe it's time we got you a new dinosaur. The next day, Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig visit Mr. Fox's shop. I'm sure we'll find a lovely dinosaur here, George, says Mummy Pig. Look, George, says Daddy Pig, pointing to the shop window. There's a big one.
Oh, dinosaur,
says George. Good morning, beams Mr. Fox. Can I help you? We'd like to buy the dinosaur in the window, please, says Daddy Pig. Good choice, says Mr. Fox. This is Dino-Raw. He walks, he talks, and he sings. Wow, says everyone.
Dino-Raw,
says George excitedly. We'll take it, says Daddy Pig. George is playing with Dino Roar in the garden. Dino Roar sings, Dino Roar, listen to Dino Roar, roar! Careful, George, says Daddy Pig. Don't play too roughly because Dino Roar will get broken. George wants to play with Dino Roar in the bath.
Dino Roar,
says George. But Mummy Pig says, George, if you get Dino wet, he'll stop working. Peppa and George are asleep in bed, but suddenly Dino comes to life. Roar! Dino roar! George, says Peppa, Dino has woken me up. Maybe Dino should sleep somewhere else, says Daddy Pig, taking Dino away. George is feeling sad. He cannot play with Dino in the garden, or the bath, or even in bed. Never mind, George, says Mummy Pig brightly. Dino can still roar. Dino roar, listen to Dino roar. Dino stops walking and talking completely. I think the batteries must have run out, says Mummy Pig. Already? How many are there? Grumbles Daddy Pig as batteries pour out of Dino
Hundreds and thousands,
cries Peppa as she picks him up. Peppa spots something green under a bush.
What's this?
Says Peppa.
Is it a trumpet?
You found Mr. Dinosaur's tail, says Mummy Pig. Now Daddy Pig can mend him. He might be a bit difficult to mend, says Daddy Pig doubtfully. But the tail slips perfectly into place. Daddy Pig has mended Mr. Dinosaur. Ho, 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 chuckles Daddy Pig.
Hello, Mr. Dinosaur,
says Peppa. Arr, replies George. Everybody laughs. Mr. Dinosaur is George's favourite toy in the whole world. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's first glasses. Peppa and George are outside playing with their friend Pedro Pony. They are busy jumping in muddy puddles. Splash, splosh, splish. Ha 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 ha. Peppa giggles as she jumps up and down. Ah! Oh! Pedro exclaims as he slips into a puddle and falls over. His glasses fly high into the air and land on the grass. Where are my glasses? Pedro asks Peppa and George, stumbling about. Pedro can't see very well without them. Peppa and George look for Pedro's glasses. George quickly finds them and then tries them on. Silly George, Peppa says. She takes the glasses and gives them back to Pedro. Here they are. Thank you, says Pedro as he puts them on.
Pedro, why do you wear glasses?
Peppa asks.
I need to,
replies Pedro.
My daddy says so. He's an optician. What's an optician?
Peppa wonders. Pedro explains.
An optician checks that you can see clearly. He does an eye test. Shall I give you an eye test?
Pedro asks Peppa. Peppa agrees and Pedro leans in close.
Interesting,
he says, rubbing his chin.
Close one eye and say what you can see. I can see George,
Peppa says. George snorts.
Now close both eyes,
Pedro instructs Peppa. Peppa closes both her eyes.
I can't see anything,
Peppa says.
Can't see anything. Very, very interesting,
Pedro says.
I think you need glasses.
Soon it is Pedro's home time. He waves goodbye to his friends and goes home with his mum. Peppa and George go inside.
Pedro gave me an eye test and I need glasses,
says Peppa.
When I closed my eyes, I couldn't see anything.
No one can see anything with their eyes closed, Mummy Pig explained.
But
Peppa sighs.
Pedro knows all about glasses.
All right, Peppa, chuckles Daddy Pig. Let's take you to the optician for a proper eye test. Peppa and Mummy Pig are at the optician's. What can I do for you, Mr. Pony? Asks Peppa.
I need an eye test, please.
Peppa replies, jumping up into his special chair. Of course, Mr. Pony says. Put these special glasses on and then look at the chart. Mr. Pony is going to test Peppa's eyes. Can you read these for me, please? Asks Mr. Pony, pointing at some numbers. Peppa says what she sees.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Very good, Mr. Pony says. And now these colours, please.
Red, orange, blue, green, yellow, purple,
says Peppa. Excellent, Mr. Pony says. Mummy Pig helps Peppa to try on some glasses while Mr. Pony checks the test results. Some pairs look a little funny. How about these, Mummy Pig, says to Peppa, holding out some red-hearted shaped glasses.
Wow, I like these ones, Mummy,
says Peppa. They both agree that Peppa looks fantastic in the glasses. Mr. Pony comes back with the results. Good news! Peppa has perfect eyesight.
Oh, so I don't need glasses.
Peppa sighs disappointedly.
But I really wanted some.
Oh, Mr. Pony says, thinking, I suppose you could have some sunglasses. Peppa puts on a pair of red heart-shaped sunglasses.
Fantastic,
Peppa says.
I hope it's sunny every day so I can always wear them.
The end. Peppa goes to Ireland. Peppa and George were packing their suitcases, ready to go to Ireland for an Irish dancing festival.
Wow!
Peppa was so excited, she couldn't stop dancing.
How will we get to Ireland, Daddy?
She asked.
Will we dance all the way there?
Daddy Pig laughed. No, Peppa. Ireland is a long way away. We need to fly or take a boat. Said Mummy Pig. I don't think we'll fit everything on an aeroplane. Do we really need all this? Asked Daddy Pig. Mummy Pig nodded. You never know what will come in handy on holiday. Okay, said Daddy Pig. We'll take the ferry instead.
We can't take a ferry, Daddy, gasped Peppa. A ferry is too small to carry us.
Not a ferry, Peppa, said Daddy Pig. A ferry. It's a big boat that can carry cars and people.
Oh,
said Peppa.
That's much better.
Once Mummy and Daddy Pig had squeezed everything into the car, they set off for the ferry port.
Hooray!
We're going to Ireland,
sang Peppa excitedly while practicing her Irish dancing steps.
Madame Gazelle said I must rehearse my dancing.
There's not really room in the car for dance practice, Peppa, said Daddy Pig. We're a bit squished. When they reached the port, Daddy Pig drove their little car inside the enormous ferry that was waiting to take them to Ireland.
It's a bit bigger than Grandpa's boat,
said Peppa.
The ferry honked loudly. Just a bit, Daddy Pig shouted over the noise. On the ferry crossing, Peppa and George went out on the deck. Peppa spotted Ireland in the distance. It's so lovely and green, she cried. Isn't it beautiful? Said Daddy Pig. People call Ireland the Emerald Isle because it's green like an emerald. Mummy looks a bit green too, said Peppa. Are you feeling all right, Mummy? The sea's a bit choppy for me today, said Mummy Pig. When they reached Ireland, the sat-nav gave Daddy Pig directions to the Irish Dancing Festival. Follow the winding roads, in and out, then up and down, and over the hills, it said. After a while, Daddy Pig stopped the car so they could have a proper look around. Peppa and George practiced their Irish dancing, up and down and over the hills. As they got to the top of the biggest hill, Peppa spotted Miss Rabbit in a souvenir shop. Hello, Miss Rabbit, said Peppa. What are you doing here? Hello, Peppa, said Miss Rabbit. I'm selling souvenirs. Look at the Irish dancing outfits, gasped Peppa. Can we get some for the Irish Dancing Festival, Daddy, please? Okay, Daddy Pig said. 4 Irish dancing outfits, please. They can be our little bit of green Ireland to take home. Mammy Pig looked at the other things Miss Rabbit was selling. Ooh, she said. I've always wanted one of those, and one of those, and one of those, and... Soon, Mummy Pig had bought one of everything in Miss Rabbit's souvenir shop. Are you sure we have room for all this in the car? Asked Daddy Pig. Don't worry, said Mummy Pig. I'll find a way to fit it all in. After Mummy Pig's expert packing, Daddy Pig continued the journey along the winding roads. Are we at the festival yet? Asked Peppa. I think it's just around this bend, said Daddy Pig. Peppa looked eagerly out of the window. It's not! Are we at the festival yet now? I think it's just around this bend, said Daddy Pig. Peppa looked out the window again. No, she sighed. It's not. Oh no! Will it be much longer? Asked Peppa. Why don't we ask the sat-nav? Suggested Mummy Pig. Your destination is around the next bend, said the sat-nav. When they finally arrived at the Irish Dancing Festival, the sat-nav said, You have reached your destination. Hooray! Hooray! Everyone cheered. It's a bit quiet, said Peppa as they got out of the car. Why can't we hear any music? At the festival stage, they found Miss Rabbit again. I'm afraid we might have to cancel the festival, she said. Some of the band have forgotten their instruments. Oh no, Peppa said. But then she had a thought. What instruments do they need? An accordion, a tin whistle and a fiddle, said Miss Rabbit. I think we might have those in our car, cried Peppa. Mummy and Daddy Pig checked the car and pulled out an accordion, a tin whistle and a fiddle.
Wow!
You never know what will come in handy on holiday, said Mummy Pig smiling. That's very true, Mummy Pig, said Daddy Pig. Miss Rabbit gathered everyone at the festival together. Thanks to Peppa and her family, the Irish Dancing Festival can now begin, she said. Hooray! Everyone cheered. Peppa and her family changed into their Irish dancing outfits.
The band played their music and everyone started dancing.
Irish dancing is the best, cried Peppa. I just can't stop.
Me neither, said Daddy Pig, going quite red.
You're not green like Ireland, Daddy, said Peppa. You're red.
Daddy Pig chuckled. Thanks, Peppa. Everyone was having so much fun dancing, they didn't notice it was beginning to rain. Luckily, Miss Rabbit appeared with a basket full of welly boots.
It's getting a bit too muddy to dance now, said Miss Rabbit, frowning. Yes, said Peppa, but it's the perfect amount of muddy to do this. What a wonderful idea, said Miss Rabbit.
Everyone at the Irish Dancing Festival jumped up and down in muddy puddles with Peppa. Peppa and her family love Ireland, and they love jumping up and down in Irish muddy puddles. The end. Peppa loves yoga. It's been a very busy morning at playgroup. Peppa and her friends have been playing their instruments, dressing up in all the fancy dressed clothes.
Wow!
And making all the messiest crafts.
What are we going to do next, Madame Gazelle?
asked Peppa. I have a special surprise for you, says Madame Gazelle. Oh, gasped the children. Miss Rabbit is coming to do some yoga with us, says Madame Gazelle. Hooray! Everyone cheers. What's yoga? asked Rebecca Rabbit. Yoga is a way of relaxing, says Madame Gazelle.
What's relaxing?
asked Danny Dog, bouncing up and down. It's a bit like having a rest, Danny, says Madame Gazelle. It's very good to do, especially after a busy morning like ours. Just then the playgroup doorbell rings. Bring, bring.
There's somebody at the door. There's somebody at the door.
The children sing loudly. Hello, Miss Rabbit, says Madame Gazelle. The children jump up and down excitedly. Hooray! Namaste, says Miss Rabbit, putting her hands together and bowing slowly.
That is how we say hello before yoga.
Peppa and her friends stop jumping.
Namaste,
they repeat and slowly bow towards Miss Rabbit.
First, we must all sit on our mats,
said Miss Rabbit. Everyone sits down.
Now,
Miss Rabbit says,
touch your fingers and thumbs together and close your eyes.
Then everyone breathes slowly through their noses to the count of 3.
1, 2, 3,
says Miss Rabbit.
Phew,
breathe the children.
Now, let's try tree pose,
says Miss Rabbit.
Stand on one leg and be as still as a tree.
Everyone copies Miss Rabbit perfectly. Well, almost everyone.
Next, put your leg forward and bend into a warrior pose,
says Miss Rabbit.
I think this one is like being a surfer.
Everyone moves forward. They love being surfers.
You'll like this one, Danny,
says Miss Rabbit, putting her hands on the floor and lifting her tail into the air.
It's the downward dog.
Then Miss Rabbit stretches up like a snake.
And this one is called the cobra pose.
Finally, Miss Rabbit lowers her voice and whispers softly,
Now we must rest. Lie down on your backs while I count very slowly. 1, 2, 3.
It's time for the children's parents to pick them up. Bring, bring, goes the doorbell, but none of the children makes a sound. They are all fast asleep. We've been doing some yoga, Madame Gazelle explains. It looks very relaxing, says Daddy Pig. Yoga is relaxing, says Madame Gazelle. I think we should do it every day. Madame Gazelle loves yoga. Everyone loves yoga. The end. Peppa's Pizza Party. It is lunchtime at Peppa's house.
Can we make pizzas?
Peppa asks. George loves pizza. So do Mummy and Daddy Pig. Peppa is excited to start. But first, everyone must wash their hands. They use soap and water to get all clean. When they are done washing, they gather ingredients. To make our pizzas, says Daddy Pig, we need flour, tomato, chimes in Mummy Pig, cheese, continues Daddy Pig, and toppings. But wait, there's something missing.
George likes pineapple on his pizza,
Peppa says. Pineapple? Daddy Pig repeats. On pizza? I think that's against the law. Peppa laughs. Daddy Pig is being silly. It is not against the law to put pineapple on pizza. Mummy Pig sprinkles a little flour on the table so that the dough doesn't stick. Then, with their clean hands, Peppa and George knead the dough. Bam, bam, bam!
I am big and strong,
Peppa says.
And George is big and strong too.
Next, they make the dough into 4 balls. These will become 4 pizza pies. Mummy Pig rolls the dough balls flat with her rolling pin.
Oh,
says Peppa.
they look like pizzas now.
Mummy and Daddy Pig make a sauce with the tomatoes. Then Peppa and George smooth it over the dough.
I like making pizza,
Peppa says.
It's so fun.
Now it is time to decorate the pizzas.
Can we make happy faces on top?
Peppa asks. Of course we can, replies Daddy Pig. I'll use mushrooms to make eyes and olives for the smile. And I'll use onions for the eyes and basil for the smile, says Mummy Pig. Peppa uses sweet corn for the smile and little tomatoes for the eyes. George has pineapple for the eyes and cheese for the smile. Mummy Pig puts on her oven mitts. Then she places the pizzas in the oven to bake. When the pizzas are done, Peppa, George, Mummy Pig and Daddy Pig eat in the garden. Their pizzas are very good.
These are the best pizzas in the world,
says Peppa. Peppa loves pizza. Everyone loves pizza. The end.
Hi kids, did you have fun watching this video? Then like and subscribe for more.